My beloved child, I cannot let you overlook the seriousness of this moment because the hour is not waiting for you, and the weight of eternity presses heavily upon the seconds that are slipping away like grains of sand in your hands, and I must reach you before the final grains fall, for tonight is not ordinary. It is charged with a holy urgency that heaven itself has declared over your life. And I whisper to your heart with fire because you are standing on the very edge of a threshold that determines how your tomorrow will unfold. And though your body feels weary and your mind is clouded with distractions that scream louder than my voice, I am cutting through the noise to call you back to the place where only my words can rescue you from the danger of delay. For if you allow the night to pass without opening to me fully, you will not see the release that I have aligned for you. And this is not a threat, but a reality of spiritual timing that you cannot gamble with, because there are doors that remain unlocked for only a narrow moment before they close tightly again, and you cannot assume they will wait for your convenience. For I know how easily the enemy has whispered to you, convincing you that you can always choose tomorrow, that there will always be another chance. But I tell you with urgency in my tone that tomorrow will not carry what tonight holds, and if you dismiss this moment, you may wake up in the morning to find the opportunity vanished like mist in the sunrise, leaving you wondering what could have been. And I do not want regret to be your portion. I want victory, healing, and freedom to meet you instead, and this is why I am pressing on your spirit with such intensity that you feel the weight in your chest, the stirring in your soul, the sense that something more is demanded from you right now, and that sense is not your imagination. It is my spirit warning you that the heavens have opened over you this very hour, waiting for you to respond before the window shuts. And while you sit thinking about how much longer you can delay, angels are already standing by your side, prepared to minister breakthrough, deliverance, and provision if only you would open your heart with surrender. But they are halted by your hesitation, because I will not force what must be freely given. And I am pleading with you in love, but with seriousness, because I see the traps being laid around you by the enemy who knows what will happen if you dare to yield tonight. He knows that chains will snap. He knows that darkness will lose its grip. He knows that your story will turn. And so he is fighting harder in this moment than he has in weeks to distract you with tiredness, fear, and lies. But I need you to shake yourself awake, lift your eyes, and realize that what you choose before midnight will determine what you carry after midnight. And the line between those two realities is thinner than you realize. For the spiritual realm is vibrating with movement right now. A shift is happening, and if you reach for me in faith, you will feel the surge of my power break through your atmosphere, lifting the heaviness off your soul and replacing it with fire, courage, and clarity. But if you hesitate, you risk sleeping through the hour that was meant to birth your miracle. So hear me, my child. The time is now. The call is urgent, the moment is holy, and you must not let the seconds pass unnoticed, because eternity itself is leaning in to watch what you will do with this night. And I, your Lord, am reaching for you with arms that have never stopped carrying you. But you must respond before the night gives way to dawn. And as you stand at this narrow crossing, understand that the threshold is not simply symbolic, it is real in the unseen, and the door before you is held open by grace only for a fleeting window. For when midnight strikes, the handle will not turn, and the opportunity designed for you will slip into the past. And I do not want you to live with the pain of knowing you stood close yet refused to enter, for hesitation has robbed many who thought they had more time. But I am making it unmistakably clear that what you are facing right now carries eternal weight. And while your heart beats in your chest and the clock's rhythm grows louder, I urge you not to assume there will be another invitation as urgent as this one. Because the enemy of your soul wants nothing more than to lure you into believing there is no rush, that you can delay, that surrender can wait. But I tell you truthfully, the night is not waiting, it is moving swiftly. And soon this passage will close with finality. And you will wonder why you felt such trembling within you tonight. It is because my spirit is pressing heavily on your spirit, signaling that this is not like other nights. It is marked. It is sacred. It is decisive. And the doorway that now stands open before you will lead to paths of restoration, healing, and redemption that cannot be accessed any other way. And while you stand before it, you feel the pull, the urge to step in, yet fear whispers questions that bind your feet. But hear me, fear has no authority here. It only thrives when you give it room. So push it aside and move toward the light spilling through the frame of this passage, because that light is not from the world. It is from my throne, and it is illuminating a way forward that has been prepared for you long before you were born. For I have gone ahead of you and arranged every detail of the steps waiting beyond this entry, and the only thing holding you back is the decision to move, to yield, to open, and if you would only act, even trembling, even uncertain, you would find the weight lifting, the shadows dispersing, the grip of hesitation snapping, because my presence fills every space you dare to enter with me. And I promise you, once you cross through this place before midnight strikes, you will not walk into confusion. You will walk into clarity. You will not stumble into emptiness. You will be carried into fullness. And this is why the urgency presses so strongly upon you now, because heaven knows the value of this moment and refuses to let you sleep through it unaware. So I am crying out within your spirit, urging you to rise, urging you to choose, urging you to refuse the deception of delay, because delay is a thief and midnight will not extend itself for the indecisive. So make your stand now, child, for on the other side of this opening is the tomorrow I have designed, and the dawn you will wake into will not be ordinary. It will be transformed, but only if you step into the opening that waits for you right now. And as this unseen doorway glows with urgency, I tell you plainly that the stirring you have felt in your chest, the unease that has followed you through the day, the weight you could not explain, all of it has been my gentle insistence calling you not to ignore this final summons. For I have spoken to you in whispers when you were quiet, in restlessness when you tried to silence me, and in moments of silence when everything else faded, yet still you wrestled with whether or not to listen. But tonight the urgency is different. It is not a suggestion. It is a declaration from heaven that your window is narrowing, and if you continue to brush off this tug, you will miss the divine alignment prepared to release at the strike of tomorrow's dawn. And I do not say this to condemn you, but to awaken you from the fog of delay, because too many before you thought they could postpone and ended up watching what was meant for them slip into another's hands. And I do not want you to taste that sorrow. I want you to experience the fulfillment of what I have set aside for you. So I urge you with love that sounds like fire, do not close your ears to me now, for the enemy will amplify every distraction, every small excuse, every false comfort, to convince you that my voice can be set aside until later. But the truth is that later will not carry what this hour is holding, and if you keep pushing away my whispers, you will harden your heart without even realizing it, and then when the light breaks in the morning, you will feel emptiness instead of joy, heaviness instead of peace, regret instead of relief. And that is not what I desire for you, for I long to see you free, to see you unburdened, to see you step into a flow of provision and victory that has been designed with your name inscribed on it, yet that requires you to stop silencing the very warnings that are meant to save you, because ignoring my voice is not neutral, it is dangerous, for every ignored prompting strengthens the chains the enemy is trying to fasten around your life, and the more you resist, the more you are deceived into thinking you are in control when truly you are drifting further into captivity. And so I confront you tonight with passion and mercy, saying, child, do not ignore me, do not dismiss me, do not harden yourself against the one who gave his life for you. For I am not simply speaking words, I am releasing lifelines into your soul, pulling you out of the places where darkness wants to drown you. But I cannot drag you, I call you, I invite you, I stir you, and you must choose to respond while there is still breath in your lungs and strength in your body, because the midnight hour is moving and the gate is closing, and if you step through when I call, you will discover that the unrest you felt was never meant to torment you. It was meant to guide you. It was my signal that the old cycle was ending and the new was being ushered in. But if you reject it, you will wander in circles again, repeating lessons you should have graduated from tonight, and I do not want to see you trapped again. That is why I press on you so strongly, saying, heed my voice now, for this call may not sound again in the same way, and what you decide in this moment will shape what greets you in the hours to come. And because I know the unseen conflict around you is fierce, I must reveal what you cannot see with your eyes. For shadows have been circling, whispering doubts, planting lies, weaving fear into your thoughts, hoping to keep you from stepping through the opening I have held for you. Yet even as those voices try to drown my truth, my light is breaking through, cutting across the darkness like a sword. And it is no accident that you feel the tension more strongly tonight than in weeks past, because the adversary recognizes that you are moments away from stepping into freedom, So he throws every distraction, every fear, every false promise at you to hold you back. But hear me clearly, his words carry no substance compared to mine. His threats are empty compared to my authority. His chains are brittle compared to my power. And if you allow me to flood your heart, every scheme will collapse instantly. For I did not bring you to this hour to abandon you. I brought you here to uncover the deception that has clouded your vision, to pierce through the illusions that made you believe you were stuck, and to show you that no shadow can withstand the brilliance of my presence. And while you may feel surrounded, remember that you are not overwhelmed, because my spirit encamps around you like fire. And even as the enemy encircles with intimidation, he cannot touch what I have sealed with my blood. And the whispers that told you you are unworthy, that you are too far gone, that you have no chance left, those are lies forged to silence your faith. But I speak the opposite. Tonight you are within reach of deliverance. Tonight you are closer to breakthrough than you realize. Tonight you stand in a moment where heaven leans toward you. And if you lift your heart to me, every voice of accusation will scatter like smoke in the wind. For I am greater than every shadow, stronger than every force of darkness, and louder than every lie. Though I often choose to speak in whispers so that you must quiet yourself to hear me, because in that silence my power manifests in ways louder than thunder, and the more you lean toward my light, the faster the surrounding gloom fades away. For darkness has no endurance against radiance. It only survives when ignored, and I am urging you not to give it room any longer. For you have tolerated too many false voices and carried too many unnecessary burdens, and tonight is the night I burn through them all if you open yourself fully. Because once my light floods your inner being, you will see clearly that what tormented you was never as strong as you feared. It was only convincing because you listened too long, but now I give you the choice to silence it permanently, to drown out every whisper with my truth, to replace every doubt with faith, to cover every wound with healing, and to lift your head so that you no longer walk beneath shadows but under the warmth of my light that never dims. And when you step into that brilliance, you will understand why the struggle intensified. For the enemy fights hardest when he knows he is losing ground, and his ground is slipping tonight because my glory is surrounding you, breaking the circle of lies, tearing down the fortress of fear, and opening your eyes to see that you are not trapped, you are chosen, not abandoned, you are pursued, not forgotten, you are loved. And nothing in the darkness can erase what I have spoken over you. But you must take the step. You must lean toward the radiance. You must refuse to listen to the whispers. And when you do, the shadows that seem so overwhelming will vanish as though they never existed. And now that the illusions have been exposed and the encircling gloom is dissolving, I must tell you that the rising of tomorrow is not an ordinary turning of time but a divine shift marked in eternity. For what is set to unfold when the sun appears carries a weight far greater than what your natural eyes can comprehend. And while many will wake to another routine day, unaware of what is unfolding in the unseen, I am letting you know in advance that this coming dawn is appointed to realign destinies, to reset courses, to overturn cycles, and to ignite promises that have been waiting for the fullness of my timing. And you are standing on the very edge of this turning point, feeling the trembling in your spirit, because heaven itself is preparing to move in ways that will leave no corner of your life untouched. For this is not a seasonal change like the ones you have walked through before. This is a watershed moment, a line in the sand, an irreversible crossing. And the reason I have pressed you so strongly tonight is because you cannot treat tomorrow as casual when it carries the weight of transformation. For it has been written long before you were born that this day would arrive, that this hour would come, that this hinge would turn. And while you may see only uncertainty and unanswered questions, I see completion. I see fulfillment. I see the release of long-awaited answers that will change the entire landscape of your journey. And though you have grown accustomed to disappointment and delay, I am declaring that the coming light breaks those patterns once and for all. For the enemy has worked tirelessly to convince you that nothing changes, that every day repeats the same pain. But I say unto you, tomorrow shatters that lie, because the atmosphere is already shifting, the heavens are already opening, the angels are already aligning, and my spirit is already stirring what will no longer allow you to remain in cycles of defeat. And so I command you not to minimize what is at stake, not to sleep through this pivotal hour, not to dismiss what is stirring in your heart as imagination, because what you feel inside is confirmation that the appointed moment is at hand. And when you step into it with faith, you will see that every delay had purpose, Every tear had meaning, every waiting period had preparation, and all of it has led to this hour where I break open what seemed locked forever. And I will prove to you that I am the God who keeps his word, the one who does not forget, the one who finishes what he begins. And as the light of the new day rises, it will not only bring natural brightness but also spiritual clarity, the kind that causes you to look back and realize why the path was so heavy, because I was preparing to lift you into a higher place where the struggles of yesterday could no longer follow. And I want you to carry this awareness deep in your soul that tomorrow is not simply another page in the calendar but the beginning of a chapter heaven has been writing, a chapter that could not begin until you stood in this midnight moment. And that is why I have told you so urgently to open now, because without this surrender, you would not be ready to receive the magnitude of what I am unleashing. But with it, you will find yourself stepping into a reality so transformed that you will scarcely recognize the landscape of your life compared to what it has been. And because the unfolding dawn carries such irreversible weight, I must tell you that heaven has already made preparations in places you cannot see, treasures stored, alignments arranged, and divine movements positioned, waiting only for your response in this very hour. For while you struggle to imagine what tomorrow could possibly hold beyond the patterns of the past, I assure you that what has been hidden is greater than anything you have tasted. And though you have questioned whether your prayers ever reached me, I reveal to you that they were never lost. They were gathered, recorded, and planted like seeds into soil that has now reached its season of bursting forth. And as you stand here hesitating, wondering if you are ready, understand that the readiness is not yours to manufacture. It is mine to impart. For I am not asking you to have all strength. I am asking you to yield, to release, to step into what has already been completed by my hand. And when you surrender, you will find that every provision is already in place, every detail already woven, every pathway already paved, because I am the God who finishes before you begin. And this is why the invitation cannot wait until another time, because alignment happens in its appointed moment. And if you resist it, you delay blessings not only for yourself, but for many connected to your obedience. For you are not walking alone, your decision ripples outward, touching lives you cannot yet imagine. And this is why the urgency presses so heavily, because the fullness of what has been prepared is waiting for you to unlock it. And once you move, it will release not just into your story, but into the lives of others who have been waiting unknowingly for your obedience. And do not think lightly of this, for I have placed weight upon you tonight because the promise was never just about you. It was about a chain reaction, a flow of grace, a wave of glory that would sweep through others as a result of what you choose in this midnight hour. And this is why I say to you, step forward, because when you do, you will see heaven's orchestration in ways you never expected, resources appearing at the right time, helpers emerging from unlikely places, wisdom poured into your spirit with clarity, and favor opening doors that were long locked. For I have held these things in readiness until now, and once you cross into tomorrow, they will begin to unfold before your very eyes. But hear me clearly, it hinges on your surrender. It depends on your choice. It requires your response. For though I am sovereign, I will not force your heart. I invite, I call, I prepare, but I wait for you to agree. And if you will, then the fullness will break open. The unseen will manifest. The hidden treasures will come into view, and you will marvel that I had arranged it all long before you even knew to ask. And you will realize that my delays were not denials but alignments. My silences were not neglect but strategy. And my timing was not cruelty but mercy, because if I had released too soon, you would not have been ready. But now the hour has struck, and what I stored for you is about to flow into your life like a river that cannot be stopped. And as these hidden preparations wait to be released, I must also make you aware that resistance has risen because the adversary recognizes the closeness of your breakthrough, and he has launched every scheme possible to surround your mind with confusion, to weigh your heart with heaviness, to stir up conflict around you. For he senses what is at stake if you step forward, and he is desperate to keep you from walking into the alignment I have set in motion. Yet you must know that his fury is only evidence of how much he fears what I am about to unleash in your life, because he would not fight so violently if you were not on the edge of victory. And though he tries to bind you with lies, to smother you with discouragement, to trap you in cycles of distraction, his attempts hold no true power against my authority. For every weapon he has formed will collapse when faced with the strength of my word, and the very moment you yield completely to me, his grip will shatter, his whispers will fall silent, his shadows will scatter, because he cannot hold what I have claimed is mine. And I tell you with urgency that you do not need to wait for signs to confirm this. Look at the intensity of your inner war tonight, and you will see proof enough that he is terrified of what is coming, for he knows tomorrow carries weight he cannot stop, so he fights to keep you locked in hesitation. But child, rise above his tactics, refuse to give him the ground he seeks, lift your voice, lift your heart, and know that my spirit surrounds you with fire, with strength, with protection greater than any scheme of hell. And even now legions of angels have been dispatched to guard you, to war on your behalf, to dismantle every trap set against you. And as you choose to surrender, you will feel the clash breaking, the pressure lifting, the stranglehold of oppression dissolving. For I did not bring you to this place to let the enemy triumph. I brought you here to demonstrate once again that his power is nothing compared to mine, and that when I declare a turning, nothing in heaven or earth or beneath the earth can stop it. And so tonight, in this sacred hour before midnight, I urge you not to focus on the weight of opposition but on the assurance of my victory. For the battle raging around you is not a sign of your weakness. It is a sign of my nearness. And the closer you are to breakthrough, the louder the enemy shouts, the harder he pushes, the more he tries to bind, but none of his efforts can undo what I have sealed. And you will soon witness that all his fury was wasted energy, because I am overturning his plans, dismantling his traps, and turning even his attacks into testimonies of my power. So hold fast, child. The clash you feel tonight is proof that your tomorrow is charged with glory, and the only thing required of you is to trust, to yield, to step fully into my embrace, because once you do, the storm will lose its voice, the darkness will lose its ground, and you will walk into the daybreak carrying a victory the enemy cannot steal. And as this unseen clash reaches its peak, you must recognize that the pressure surrounding you today has not been random. For every burden, every conflict, every wave of sudden heaviness you carried was an indicator that you are standing on the very threshold of release, because breakthrough never comes without resistance, and the closeness of what I am about to do has drawn the storm into your path. Yet that storm was never sent to destroy you. It was allowed only to reveal how near your deliverance truly is, and though it felt overwhelming at times, I was always watching, always holding you, always ensuring it would not consume you, because my intention was not your ruin but your preparation. For in the middle of the struggle you learned to cry out. You discovered strength you did not know you had. You uncovered faith that had been buried beneath doubt, and now you stand at the edge of fulfillment carrying a depth you could not have gained any other way. And though you have wondered why the weight increased when you were already weary, I tell you it was because the enemy panicked at the nearness of your freedom, and he doubled his efforts to crush you. But instead of destroying you, it pushed you closer to me, and what he thought would silence you has instead sharpened your ear to my whisper. So now, at this midnight moment, you are more ready than ever to step into what I have promised. And the turbulence that shook you today is a final attempt to keep you from seeing that the chains are already cracking, the walls are already trembling, the barriers are already weakening, and one more step of faith will bring them crashing down. For I have declared this night to be the ending of cycles that tormented you, and the dawning of a new reality that cannot be undone. And I want you to realize that pressure is often the sign of promise, weight is often the signal of release, and what you endured today was not meaningless pain but the birth pangs of tomorrow's victory. So do not despise the shaking, do not misinterpret the struggle, for it has been a loud announcement from the spirit realm that your turning is here. And when you step into the light of daybreak, you will see that what fought you so violently had no power to hold you back, because my hand has already gone before you, clearing the way, silencing opposition, and securing the blessing that awaits you. And when you look back on this night, you will understand that the heaviness was a confirmation, not a curse, a signal that you were on the brink, not a sign that you were forgotten. And you will rejoice that even in the storm I was working, even in the pressure I was shaping, even in the chaos I was aligning everything for your good. So rise now, child, and do not let the turbulence deceive you, for it only means the release is moments away, and you are closer than you have ever been. And as you stand in this intensity, I need you to grasp that the clock itself is not your enemy but hesitation is, for time, is steadily moving forward, and the minutes are carrying you closer to the moment when the window will no longer remain open. And while you feel the urgency, you must understand that delay is the thief that robs more than outright rebellion ever could, because every second spent wavering allows opportunities to slip quietly away, and the adversary knows this well, which is why he does not always push you toward outright refusal but often lulls you into postponement, convincing you that waiting will cost nothing. Yet I am telling you with the authority of heaven that waiting past this appointed moment will cost everything, for my spirit is stirring now. My voice is sounding now. My invitation is burning now, and if you resist by saying I will decide later, you will awaken to find later has taken the place of what was meant to be yours. And I do not want you to step into tomorrow with the ache of regret, whispering to yourself that you could have chosen differently when the prompting was strong. So I warn you out of love that hesitation is not neutral, it is surrender to the very one who seeks to chain you, and the pull you feel to pause, to put off, to wait for another sign. That pull is not harmless. It is a snare designed to keep you from stepping through the very doorway that I have prepared, and if you yield to it, you will forfeit blessings that were waiting to be delivered. But if you rise above it and act now, you will see hesitation crumble like dust under your feet, for obedience in this moment carries a power that hesitation never can. And I am urging you with fire in my voice. Do not linger at the edge when everything depends on stepping forward, for the clock continues to move, not to punish you, but to remind you that appointed times do not stretch indefinitely, and when you treat holy moments as common, you lose what was meant to shift your destiny. So tonight, before the hand reaches midnight, silence hesitation. Silence the whisper that tells you there will always be another chance. Silence the lie that convinces you surrender can wait. And instead step boldly into my presence. For the instant you do, the chains will fall, the hesitation will break, the regret will vanish, and you will carry into the new day a release that hesitation tried to steal. And when you wake tomorrow, it will not be with the weight of missed chances, but with the joy of having seized the moment when it mattered most. For you will know that hesitation lost and faith won, and that shift will mark you forever. And because hesitation cannot be allowed to rule this night, I tell you with all seriousness that what is about to open before you can only be unlocked by obedience. For the moment you decide to yield fully and walk in the direction I am pointing, unseen barriers will crumble and gates that seemed immovable will swing wide. For no human hand will be able to block what my Spirit has decreed when you step through in faith. And I assure you that this is not about your strength, not about your resources, not about your ability to calculate outcomes, but about your willingness to trust that when I say move, every obstruction will dissolve before you, and the sound of your obedience will release a resonance in the spiritual realm that cannot be silenced. For angels will respond, circumstances will align, favor will rush to meet you, and miracles will unfold because obedience carries weight that nothing else can carry. And though you have wondered if it is too late for you, if your decisions in the past have disqualified you, I speak now to say that your obedience in this hour overrides years of wandering. It restores what was lost. It redeems what was wasted. It reclaims what was stolen. And it pulls into this present moment blessings that were waiting for your yes. For when I open a door, no one can shut it. And when I decree a release, no adversary can reverse it. And I want you to see that tonight your obedience is not small, it is the key that turns the lock on doors you have been pressing against for seasons. And the enemy has tried to convince you that yielding to me will cost too much, that surrender will strip you, that following my leading will leave you empty. But I tell you the exact opposite is true, for what you release into my hands tonight will multiply beyond recognition, and what you surrender will return in ways so abundant that you will look back and wonder why you ever hesitated to trust. And I am promising you that if you act now, if you obey while the call is strong, you will see walls flatten before you, opportunities arise that no man could fabricate, and provision appear in ways you never imagined. For I do not call you to step into emptiness, I call you into fullness, and the only thing standing between you and that fullness is your decision to obey. So silence the questions, silence the fears, silence the lies, and choose obedience. For once you do, the doors will not merely open, they will remain open, held by the power of my hand. And nothing in earth or in hell will have authority to shut what your obedience has unlocked. And you will walk into tomorrow with doors wide before you, stepping into rooms that once seemed inaccessible, carrying favor that once seemed impossible, and living in a flow that once felt unimaginable, all because you chose to obey when the moment demanded it. And as those doors swing open through your obedience, understand this truth: not everyone around you will step into the same shift. For many will rise tomorrow and carry on as though nothing has changed, blind to the invitation that was placed before them, deaf to the urgency of my voice, unwilling to recognize the weight of the moment. And though they will continue in patterns that feel familiar, I am calling you higher. I am separating you for something distinct. I am inviting you into a transformation that others may miss because they treated this night as common. But you must not compare your path to theirs. For I am not asking them, I am asking you. And my hand is extended to you specifically, pulling you out from the crowd, marking you with favor, setting you apart as one who hears when others ignore, as one who responds when others dismiss. And though this may feel lonely at times, know that it is evidence of my selection, for I am not content to let you fade into mediocrity. I have designed you for more, and if you accept this call, you will wake tomorrow with eyes to see differently, with ears to hear what others cannot, with strength to walk where others will not. And though people around you may live unchanged, you will carry a fire that distinguishes you, a peace that sustains you, a wisdom that guides you, and a courage that moves you forward into territories they will not dare to enter. For I am not interested in blending you with the multitude. I am shaping you into a sign, a testimony, a living witness of my power to transform. And when others look at you, they will wonder why your tomorrow does not mirror their tomorrow, and you will tell them it is because you chose to yield in the hour they overlooked. And I will use your obedience to stir conviction in them, to open their eyes through your story, to awaken them by your example. But even if they never see, even if they never understand, do not let their blindness cause you to dim your light, for you are not called to walk their path, you are called to walk the one I have carved for you. And while they repeat cycles, you will rise into newness. While they chase shadows, you will walk in clarity. While they cling to the familiar, you will inherit the extraordinary. Because you chose to respond when I whispered, you chose to open when the invitation came, you chose to surrender before midnight, and that choice will mark you forever as mine in ways that will reshape the very course of your life. And as this separation becomes clear, I must also remind you that the private decisions you make in this sacred hour will not remain hidden, for what you resolve in silence tonight will resound in the unfolding of tomorrow, shaping outcomes, directing paths, and influencing the way doors open or close before you. For your heart's posture in this moment is planting seeds that will grow into visible fruit in the light of day. And though no one else may witness the surrender, the heavens record it, angels respond to it, and creation itself bends to align with the choice you make. For destiny is not built on outward appearances but on inward yielding, and the unseen choices of your spirit are the very foundations upon which my kingdom advances in your life. And you cannot deceive yourself into thinking that keeping silent while withholding your heart has no consequence, because the silence of refusal becomes louder than words, and the consequences of inaction speak louder than actions themselves. And I tell you now that the decisions you form inside yourself tonight are shaping the atmosphere you will walk into when the dawn breaks. So be mindful, my child, that the private wrestlings of your soul are not insignificant. They are the birthplace of the victories or losses you will encounter in the open. And this is why I have pressed you so strongly, because I know how easily the enemy convinces you that what happens in your thoughts can remain contained. Yet I say to you, nothing stays contained. Your hidden agreements with truth or with lies always find expression in the unfolding of your life. So choose carefully in this midnight hour, for your silent yes to me will manifest as visible breakthrough. Your quiet surrender will appear as undeniable blessing. Your internal decision to yield will be reflected in external favor. And likewise, your hesitation to commit will appear as delay. Your refusal to open will become missed opportunity. Your hardened heart will show in the closing of pathways. And I do not want you to taste that sorrow, which is why I am speaking with such fire tonight, urging you to take seriously what you allow within, because nothing remains hidden before my eyes, and the spiritual world is moved by the posture of your soul even when no human voice can hear it. And when you awaken tomorrow, you will realize that the outcomes you face are the echoes of the decisions you made in the secrecy of this night. For though men may never know what wrestled inside you, heaven and earth will reveal it in what comes to pass. So guard this moment, respond with seriousness, Let your private surrender shape a tomorrow filled with promise. And never forget that what is chosen in stillness becomes thunder in the unfolding of destiny. And because what you settle within yourself tonight carries such weight, I must warn you against the subtle deception of postponing until morning, for you may be tempted to believe that waiting until daylight will make surrender easier, that clarity will arrive with the rising sun. But I tell you truthfully that the morning will not carry the same invitation that this night holds, for there are moments set apart that cannot be replicated once they pass, and this is one of them. And if you dismiss it thinking another opportunity will arrive with the next sunrise, you risk stepping into a day that lacks the power, favor, and alignment that was meant to be yours. For dawn without obedience to the midnight call becomes only another repetition of what you have already known: cycles, frustrations, and unanswered questions. But dawn after surrender becomes a day charged with heaven's power, a day unlike any that came before it, and that difference is determined by what you do before the clock completes this hour. So do not let the voice of comfort persuade you to delay. Do not let the reasoning of your mind convince you that later is safe, for later is not guaranteed, and what is being offered to you now is not merely another chance but a specific moment designed to alter the course of your life. And ignoring it would not simply postpone blessing, it would close a door that no effort of your own could ever reopen, because timing in my kingdom is not random, it is precise. It is holy. It is exact. And this appointed night carries an anointing that tomorrow will not contain. And if you let it slip, you will search in vain for the weight you feel now, for the intensity you sense now, for the tug that is burning inside you now, because it will not return in the same way. And I say this not to frighten you but to awaken you, to shake you from complacency, to alert you that the assumption of endless opportunities is a lie meant to keep you bound. And too many have fallen into the trap, telling themselves they could wait, only to discover that what was meant for them was handed to another who responded. But I do not want that to be your story. I want you to seize what I have aligned, to step boldly into what I have prepared, to taste the fullness of what I have designed for this hour. So I call to you with urgency. Do not push this off until daylight, for daylight without surrender will feel empty, but if you yield before midnight, daylight will blaze with promise, clarity, and power that cannot be denied. And the difference between those two outcomes depends on what you choose right now. And because you must not delay until morning, I remind you now that every cry you lifted in secret, every word you thought faded into silence, every tear that slipped from your eyes unnoticed by others has been gathered in my hands, stored in the chambers of heaven, and none have been ignored, for I have counted them. I have treasured them. I have kept them close, and though you wondered if they dissolved into the air, I assure you they became petitions before my throne, and tonight I am ready to release the answers you have longed for, the ones you believed were forgotten, the ones you stopped expecting, for nothing you poured out to me has ever been wasted. Not a single whisper has been overlooked, not a single ache has been ignored. And now, in this sacred hour, the weight of those accumulated prayers is tipping the scales of destiny, for I am moving swiftly to bring forth what has been held back. And while you thought delay meant denial, it never did. It only meant I was arranging circumstances to align with the perfect moment, and that moment is here. And when you yield tonight, the release of those answers will rush into your life like a flood that cannot be contained, sweeping away disappointment, overturning despair, replacing unanswered silence with undeniable manifestation. For I am faithful to every word, faithful to every promise, faithful to every cry. And though you wrestled with feelings of abandonment, I was working behind the scenes, weaving together details, commanding angels, orchestrating alignments, so that when the time arrived, the release would not be partial but complete, not fragile but secure, not temporary but lasting. And this is why I urge you not to waste this hour, for what you prayed in desperation is about to manifest in power. And if you surrender now, you will see prayers answered in ways far beyond what you expected, doors opening that you never imagined would open, provision arriving from places you could not predict, and peace flooding the spaces where only restlessness lived before. Because I do not store prayers only to discard them, I store them to release them at the appointed moment, and that appointed moment has come. And if you step forward now, you will walk into tomorrow carrying answers you once thought lost forever. And the joy of those answers will wipe away years of sorrow, and the fulfillment of those promises will silence every doubt. and you will know without question that I heard you all along, and that I never left you waiting in vain. The answers that are about to flood your life are not drifting aimlessly. They are being carried by messengers already moving toward you, for I have commanded my servants in the unseen realm to stand by your side, positioned to act the moment you release your full surrender. These heavenly hosts have not been idle. They have been watching, waiting for the signal of your yielded heart to activate their assignments. You may have felt alone, convinced that no help surrounded you. But if your eyes were opened tonight, you would see countless warriors stationed at the edges of your path, holding back forces that sought to destroy you, clearing obstacles that tried to block you, and preparing the way for the blessing to reach you without interference. This is why the pressure has been so heavy. It was not only the enemy fighting, it was also my armies pushing back his resistance. Do not underestimate what is taking place around you even now. The atmosphere is charged because angelic activity has increased, and the spiritual world is shaking with movement. When you choose to yield completely, those angels will not hesitate. They will rush in to minister strength, to carry provision, to dismantle strongholds that have clung to your life for too long. Understand that they are not moving by their own authority, but by my command, and my command is linked to your response. This is the beauty of surrender. It does not only open your heart to me, it unlocks reinforcements assigned to bring forth everything I have promised. What seemed impossible in human terms becomes effortless once my hosts are released to act, for nothing in earth or hell can withstand the force of heaven's armies. Tonight you stand at the tipping point. The moment you bow fully to my will, the unseen becomes visible, the impossible becomes reality. The delay collapses under the weight of divine intervention. My child, realize this is not theory. It is truth. My messengers have been restrained, waiting for your yes, because I will not violate your freedom. Once you choose, they will move like lightning, breaking barriers in seconds that you could not dismantle in years. You will look back on this night and remember that the atmosphere felt thick because heaven itself was holding its breath for your decision, and the instant you agreed, the floodgates swung open. Do not let fear convince you that you are unworthy of such help. I chose you, and because you belong to me, my angels respond to my word spoken over your life. They are not for, they are here, surrounding, protecting, guarding, weighing. Give me your yes, and watch how swiftly they move to usher you into the daybreak of fulfilled promises. The reason the weight around you has intensified in these final hours is not because you are forgotten, but because the storm was permitted to press against you so that you would be pushed closer to my embrace before the moment strikes. What you have felt as crushing waves were never designed to drown you. They were meant to drive you into my arms, to strip away false securities, to remind you that only in me can you stand when everything shakes. This storm has not been random, it has been purposeful, a refining fire revealing where you placed your trust and drawing you to anchor yourself fully in me. I know how fierce it has seemed, how the winds rattled your peace, how the noise tried to convince you that I was distant, yet through it all I was nearer than your breath, watching carefully, ensuring the waters never rose beyond what you could endure, setting limits that the enemy could not cross. The storm served as confirmation that something greater was about to break, because the fiercest resistance always comes before release. I am not the author of chaos, but I am the one who uses it to purify, to strengthen, to reveal what cannot be shaken. Tonight, as the turbulence swirls, do not misinterpret it as abandonment. It is the sign that a divine shift is imminent. Just as gold is refined in fire, your spirit has been tested in this whirlwind, and though you felt weakness, you are coming out stronger, prepared to carry the weight of blessing without collapsing under it. The enemy wanted the storm to break you, but I allowed it to break chains instead. What was meant to crush has only revealed that your foundation in me cannot be destroyed. This is why I tell you not to fear the storm's roar. It is already losing power, already fading, already yielding to the authority of my word. Soon you will see that what terrified you was only a temporary shaking, a final attempt to distract you before the dawn of victory. You are not abandoned in the storm, you are being carried through it, and when you step into tomorrow, you will see clearly that the storm was never your end. It was the signal that your new beginning was closer than you realized. Every tear you released in the nights when no one else saw has not been wasted, for I have kept each drop as a testimony, and those cries have become the very water nourishing the soil where new life will soon burst forth. You thought your weeping was weakness, yet in my hands it has been power, for your brokenness invited my presence more deeply than triumphs ever could. The anguish you carried became intercession, even when you did not have words, and your sobs rose before my throne like incense, drawing angels near, stirring heaven's response, setting in motion movements that you could not yet perceive. While you assumed your pain was ignored, it was actually recorded. While you feared your sorrow was meaningless, it was transformed into a catalyst for change. I want you to know that not one moment of anguish slipped past my gaze, not one groan escaped without reaching my ears, and I have woven those laments into the tapestry of what I am bringing forth. The season of tears is giving way to a season of joy, but you must understand that joy does not come by erasing your history, it comes by redeeming it. What you lost, I will restore. What you mourned, I will resurrect in ways more beautiful than you expect. Your tears watered the ground of promise, softening the soil so that when the seed of my word fell, it could take root. That is why you endured such prolonged nights, because I was preparing the earth of your heart to receive a harvest that would not be shallow but deep, lasting, and abundant. Others may have looked at you and seen only grief, but I looked at you and saw fertile ground, rich with the moisture of longing, ready for a breakthrough harvest. Tomorrow, you will begin to see sprouts of hope pushing through what once felt barren, and as those sprouts grow, you will realize that your tears were never in vain. They carried purpose, they carried power, they carried a fragrance that moved heaven. The enemy tried to convince you that your crying proved abandonment, but in truth your crying proved a connection, for only those who believe they are heard cry out as you did. And I say to you now, child, your believing was not in vain. Your tears have tipped the scales. Your lament has become intercession, and your intercession has become the very foundation of the victory I am releasing. Rejoice, not because you never cried, but because your tears have been turned into the very river that will carry joy into your tomorrow. The tears that watered your soil have prepared you to recognize something many overlooked, that what you once called loss was never final. For in my hands every seeming ending becomes the ground for a greater unveiling, and what you thought was taken from you permanently is about to be reshaped into a testimony of restoration. Those doors that closed so abruptly, those relationships that dissolved, those opportunities that slipped from your grasp, they were not evidence of my absence. They were part of a design that removed what could not carry you into where I am leading. You felt as though something precious was stolen, but I say to you it was a pruning, and pruning always feels painful before it shows its purpose. I never delight in your pain, but I do delight in your growth, and the things stripped away were branches that would have hindered the fruit I intended for you. What you grieved over was never wasted, it became space for newness, space for abundance, space for the flourishing that is about to emerge. Tomorrow you will begin to see why certain paths ended, why certain people walked away, why certain plans collapsed, for what is coming would not have fit alongside what you were trying to hold on to. You thought you lost what was irreplaceable, but you are about to receive what is incomparable. This is why I urged you not to cling to yesterday, because if your hands are full of what I remove it, they cannot be open to embrace what I am giving. You will realize that I did not take from you to punish you, I shifted things to prepare you. Every ache you carried in that process will now be answered with the joy of what I am releasing. The enemy tried to use those losses to convince you I had abandoned you, but in truth, those very moments proved I was near, steering you away from counterfeits, keeping you from walking into traps, guiding you into alignment with my perfect plan. Soon you will look back and say, what I thought ended was actually the beginning of something far greater. The chapter you mourned was necessary to close so that the story could move forward. Your tomorrow will not resemble your yesterday, because I am turning the ashes into beauty, the emptiness into fullness, the sorrow into gladness, and I am doing it in such a way that you will marvel that you ever wept over what you thought you lost. What was stripped away made room for the unveiling you are about to witness, for the very chains that once felt unbreakable are trembling even now at the power of my word spoken over your life. and though you carried them so long that they began to feel like part of your identity, I tell you with certainty that they were never meant to remain, and their time is ending tonight. Every invisible shackle, fear that bound your decisions, shame that silenced your voice, guilt that weighed down your steps, cycles that dragged you back whenever you tried to rise, those restraints are being shaken at their core. And as you lean into me fully, they will snap like brittle threads under the weight of my authority. Do not believe the lie that these chains define you, for they were temporary prisons, never permanent labels, and I have come to break them so thoroughly that when you look for them tomorrow, they will be gone, leaving only freedom in their place. I know how long you have wrestled, how weary you have grown, how convinced you became that change was impossible, yet here in this midnight hour, my spirit declares that impossible is bowing to inevitable, because I have decreed liberty over you, and nothing can override my decree. The sound of your surrender releases a vibration in the spirit realm that causes bonds to disintegrate, and that sound is rising even now, shaking the very foundations of captivity. You will feel weight lifting, heaviness departing, oppression dissolving, not because you fought harder but because you yielded to me, and I fight on your behalf. Those chains feared this moment, for they knew the day would come when my light would expose their weakness, and that day has arrived. You will no longer lie bent beneath burdens you were never designed to carry. You will no longer accept captivity as normal. You will no longer see yourself as trapped. My declaration over you is freedom, and that freedom begins the moment you say yes. Tomorrow you will not walk as one shackled but as one released, and those who see you will notice the difference. They will see courage where there was once hesitation, strength where there was once weakness, joy where there was once despair, and they will know that something beyond human explanation has happened in you. The chains are trembling, child, and as you continue to yield, they will not only fall off, but disintegrate so completely that they will never return again. As the restraints that clung to you crumble, understand that the silence which tried to swallow your voice will be transformed into a song of victory, for what once seemed to suffocate your spirit will soon become the very place where you discover the strength of your praise. The midnight cry that rises from your heart carries power greater than the darkness that tried to muzzle you, and though you once believed your cries vanished into emptiness, they have shaken the unseen world, and every whisper you lifted has been collected, multiplied, and is now returning as a declaration that cannot be silenced. The adversary thought he could mute you with fear, bury you with shame, and drown you with heaviness, but those very attempts only sharpened your hunger, and that hunger has given birth to a sound that terrifies hell itself. Your cry at this midnight hour is not weakness, it is warfare. It is proclamation. It is the breaking of cycles. It is the announcement that you will not remain bound. When you lift your voice in surrender, the atmosphere shifts. The spiritual barriers collapse. The powers that tried to dominate you retreat in terror, because they cannot withstand the authority of my spirit moving through your yielded sound. Do not underestimate the weight of your midnight cry. It is not merely emotional release. It is alignment with heaven's decree. And when heaven and your heart agree, the earth must respond. Tomorrow will bear the evidence of this sound, for chains that tried to silence you will be seen lying broken on the ground, and the same mouth that once whispered in despair will declare with boldness that freedom has come. You will no longer lie gagged by fear of opinion, muted by shame of the past, or silenced by lies of unworthiness. Instead, you will rise with clarity in your voice, with confidence in your words, with courage in your declarations, and that sound will ripple through every part of your life. It will influence decisions, open opportunities, shift relationships, and draw others into the same freedom you have found. The very place where silence once ruled will become the platform of your testimony, and your song will not fade at dawn. It will grow stronger with every step you take into tomorrow, for the night of silence has ended, and the morning of your victory song has begun. The sound that now rises from within you must not be mistaken for punishment, for I am not calling you into surrender to strip you bare, but to rescue you from what has been draining the very life out of your soul. So many have confused my invitation with loss, imagining that opening fully to me means being left empty. Yet the truth is that yielding to me is not subtraction, it is deliverance, and it is the only path to real freedom. You have tried carrying burdens in your own strength, patching wounds with your own hands, running from pain by filling your days with noise, but none of it brought lasting peace. None of it silenced the ache that lingered when the distractions faded. That is because only I can lift what presses against you. Only I can heal what lies beneath the surface. Only I can untangle the knots that years of struggle created. Tonight I am not asking you to hand over fragments so that I can leave you broken. I am asking you to release everything so I can restore you fully. When you resist, you cling to chains as though they are treasures. But when you let go, you discover they were weights disguised as safety. The adversary has whispered that surrender to me will cage you, but in reality it is the very thing that opens the gate and leads you into wide, open spaces of joy and purpose. Do not let the lie convince you otherwise. My call is not for control but for rescue, not for oppression but for release, not for diminishing but for enlarging. If you step toward me in this midnight hour, you will feel the difference instantly, like a drowning soul pulled above the waves, breathing air freely for the first time. Tomorrow you will wake lighter, freer, stronger, because you will no longer be fighting battles you were never meant to fight alone. My hand is stretched out, not to take away what you need, but to break away what is killing you quietly. Let go of the illusion that resistance keeps you safe. It does not. Yielding to me is the only place where you will find refuge that cannot be stolen. I know the hidden battles you have carried, the ones no one else has seen, the struggles behind closed doors where you smiled outwardly but inside felt like collapsing, the thoughts that haunted your nights, the fears you dared not speak aloud, and I say to you now that none of it has been unseen by me. I have watched as you tried to carry the weight silently, convincing yourself that if you hid it long enough it would fade. Yet the truth is that secrecy only deepened the wound. Still, I never turned away from you in those moments. I was near when you felt most abandoned, closer than breath when you believed no one would understand. I saw the heaviness pressing on your chest when you tried to rest. I heard the whispers of despair that told you to give up, and I stepped in to preserve you even when you thought you were alone. You wondered why you survived nights that felt unbearable. It was because my hand shielded you, because my purpose over your life is greater than the war raging inside you. I did not allow the battle to consume you because I intend to bring you through it into freedom that will silence every lie. What you fought in secret has been exhausting, but I am lifting it now. I am declaring you will not have to fight by yourself anymore. The enemy wanted your silence to keep you trapped, but I am breaking that silence by reminding you that I have always known, and my knowing is not condemnation, it is compassion. I carried what you could not. I stood guard when you had no strength left. I preserved your life when hopelessness whispered otherwise. Child, I do not expose your struggles to shame you. I reveal them to heal you. Tonight I declare the battle is not yours alone, it belongs to me, and I will not allow the darkness that pursued you in secret to rule your future. Tomorrow you will wake with a new awareness that you are not abandoned, you are not forgotten, you are not fighting unseen demons with no help. You are defended by the Lord who knows everything about you and still calls you mine. The heaviness you have felt pressing on your chest in these hours is not random pressure, it is the weight of heaven knocking at the door of your heart, urging you to recognize the urgency of this moment. That sensation you cannot shake, that unsettled stirring inside, is my spirit calling with insistence, showing you that time cannot be wasted, because what is unfolding around you requires your immediate response. You may have wondered why you feel so restless, why peace seems withheld until you open fully to me, and I tell you plainly, it is because I am not allowing you to become numb. I am awakening you. This unease is not punishment, it is mercy. For if you could rest comfortably in delay, you would miss the very alignment that has been written over your destiny. Consider it the ringing of an alarm that will not silence until you answer. Each throb of pressure is my love urging you. Do not ignore this hour. Many dismiss these stirrings, labeling them anxiety or confusion. But what you are feeling now is not emptiness, it is the pressing hand of God reminding you that eternity is nearer than you think. The urgency you sense is evidence of how important this midnight call truly is. I am shaking you awake because complacency would cost you too much. I refuse to let you drift into another cycle of delay, so I apply this holy weight to keep you alert, to keep you searching, to keep you leaning in. Do not resent it, embrace it, for it proves I have not given up on you. That pull inside your chest is a reminder that I am still pursuing you relentlessly. Respond while you can, for when you yield to that stirring, the pressure will lift and peace will flood in its place. Tomorrow will look entirely different because of how you respond to what you feel now. If you ignore it, the unease will harden into regret. If you yield, the unease will break into freedom. The heaviness is not a curse. It is the urgent hand of your Savior knocking before the moment passes. Let it draw you, not drive you away, for it is my call of mercy, and it will not sound forever. The stirring that presses on your spirit is also exposing lies that have lingered far too long, for in this midnight moment I am uncovering every falsehood that wrapped around your thoughts and convinced you of chains that never truly had the right to hold you. The deceiver has whispered that you are unworthy, that you are too far gone, that you will never change, that surrender will only bring disappointment, but I speak the opposite with authority. You are chosen, you are loved, you are seen, you are called into freedom, and the very fact that you hear my voice now proves that you have not been abandoned. Every lie that has painted your identity with shame is being stripped away in the light of my truth. I will not allow those words to define you any longer. I am tearing off labels that people placed on you, breaking off the distortions that circumstances stamped upon your heart, and silencing the accusations that the enemy repeated so often you began to believe them. What you thought were facts about yourself were in reality illusions designed to keep you bound in fear. But tonight I am showing you who you truly are, not by the measure of your failures, but by the mark of my sacrifice. You are mine, and nothing can change that. This hour is not about condemning you for what you have believed. It is about releasing you from the grip of deception so that you can walk boldly into the life I designed. Truth is flooding in to displace every falsehood, and as you open yourself, you will sense clarity rushing into places that were once clouded, hope igniting where despair tried to rule, and courage rising where insecurity silenced you. When tomorrow breaks, you will think differently, you will see differently, you will feel differently, because the lies that once shaped your choices will no longer have power. My truth will anchor you, define you, sustain you. The enemy's voice will lose its hold, for you will recognize it instantly and reject it. What once kept you small will no longer control you. You will stand with confidence, not because you built it yourself, but because I tore away the lies and clothed you in truth that cannot be shaken. The unveiling of truth tonight is not only clearing away deception, but also preparing you for the reality that tomorrow will reveal what this midnight surrender has secured, for the hours that follow will not be ordinary, but will unfold according to the choices you make now. If you yield in this moment, the day that rises will not mirror the ones behind you. It will bear evidence that you stepped through a doorway that others ignored. Opportunities will begin to appear. Peace will settle in places that once felt restless. Clarity will illuminate decisions that seemed impossible. And favor will rest upon your steps in ways that cannot be explained by effort alone. But if you delay, the morning will arrive hollow, stripped of the very weight it could have carried, leaving you with only the echo of what might have been. This is why I have pressed you to respond now, for what tomorrow holds depends on what you choose tonight. Do not underestimate the importance of this hour. Destiny is not shaped in broad daylight first. It is shaped in the hidden chambers of midnight surrender. What you release to me in this stillness will manifest openly when the sun appears. Understand that tomorrow's alignment is already set in motion, but whether you walk in the fullness of it hinges on your decision before the clock completes its cycle. If you step forward now, the unseen will give way to the seen, and you will marvel at how swiftly transformation arrives. It will feel as though a weight hath been lifted, as though a veil hath been torn away, as though the path ahead suddenly clears. This is not imagination, it is the evidence of heaven responding to your yes. My child, tomorrow will reveal what tonight prepares. If you grasp this and act, you will step into a day written differently from any before it. If you ignore it, you will wake with emptiness where promise should have been. The choice rests in your hands, and the urgency you feel is my mercy reminding you that this is not a moment to waste. The unfolding of tomorrow's path will not be fragile or uncertain, because I am shifting the very ground beneath your feet. moving you from unstable places into foundations that cannot be shaken. For too long you have stood on soil that shifted beneath you, circumstances changing suddenly, people proving unreliable, your own strength faltering under pressure, but I am placing you on solid rock where no storm can uproot you. This stability is not built on your own ability. It is anchored in me. When I establish your steps, no force can topple them, no wind can scatter them, no opposition can dismantle them. Tonight's surrender is securing that stability, because the moment you yield, I plant you firmly in the place I designed for you, where roots grow deep and strength endures. Do not fear collapse anymore, for I am removing the trembling beneath you. What once felt uncertain will become steady. The anxieties that came from not knowing whether the ground would hold will vanish as you realize I have built for you a foundation that cannot be removed. This is why I press you so strongly to act before midnight, because without yielding to me, you remain in the shifting sand of self-reliance, but with surrender you are lifted onto unshakable ground. When the light of morning comes, you will notice that fear of falling has left you, because you will know that I have set you where nothing can move you out of place. Others may be tossed by the storms, but you will stand secure, not because of your own strength but because of my promise. This stability will allow you to flourish, to build, to move forward without hesitation. You will be free from the constant dread that everything could collapse at any moment. I am exchanging your fragile footing for strength that endures. The foundation I lay beneath you tonight will hold not only for tomorrow but for every season ahead. When you trust me in this hour, you will walk into days where no circumstance can uproot you, no enemy can destabilize you, and no fear can unsettle you. You will finally know what it is to be planted firmly, immovable, secure in me. As I establish you on ground that cannot be shaken, I also want you to see with clarity that every closed entryway you mourned was not a denial but a redirection, for the barriers you faced were not meant to wound you but to guide you away from places that could not hold the promise I was preparing. I know how you grieved when opportunities to solve it, when plans you thought were secure collapsed, when people you trusted walked away. You questioned if I had turned my face from you, if I had forgotten what you asked for, if perhaps you were unworthy of favor. Yet none of those shut doors were abandonment, they were protection. I blocked what would have weakened you. I ended what would have distracted you. I removed what would have stolen more than it gave. What you saw as rejection was in truth a shield. I kept you from walking into paths that looked bright but were laced with snares. I heard your cries when doors did not open, but I also saw the traps waiting behind them. That is why I allowed the pain of no, because no preserved you for what was coming. Tomorrow, you will begin to see why those losses had to happen, for I am about to open an entryway that will make sense of every closure behind you. You will realize that the disappointments you carried were actually redirections, and that each step you thought was wasted was leading you straight to the place I had designed. Do not look back with bitterness anymore, look back with gratitude, for I saved you from far more than you know. The opening before you will not require striving. It will not bring confusion. It will not demand compromise. It will carry peace, alignment, and confirmation that my hand is upon it. You will know without question that this is the door I kept you for, the one that fits your calling, the one that will not collapse beneath you. Every closed opportunity will finally make sense when this one opens, and you will rejoice that I did not give you what you begged for before its time. I am faithful, and I will prove it by showing you that every closed door was necessary so that the right one could stand before you now. The entryway that is about to stand before you is not opening suddenly without reason, for every delay you endured was not neglect, but precise timing, alignment that required layers to shift before the fullness could reach you. You wondered why answers seemed withheld, why months passed without progress, why prayers lingered without visible fruit. But I assure you nothing was ignored. I was arranging circumstances you could not see, moving pieces across distances, preparing people you have not yet met, and shaping you so that you would be ready when the moment arrived. Delay in my hands is never wasted, it is preparation. It is strategy. It is orchestration of something greater than you imagine. Had I given you what you asked when you wanted it, you would not have been able to carry it. nor would it have carried the weight of endurance. I protected you from premature fulfillment that would have crumbled. Every pause was a building block. Every silence was a layer of preparation. Every unanswered moment was an unseen setup. Now the alignment is complete. The timing is ripe. The readiness is here. When tomorrow unfolds, you will see that what felt like endless waiting was in fact the weaving of a tapestry so intricate that only I could design it. The beauty of the pattern will make you forget the frustration of the pause, because the release will be so perfect, so undeniable, that you will recognize it could not have come a day sooner or a day later. This is why I urge you not to despise the delays, for they were never detours, they were part of the straight path leading here. The enemy tried to convince you that silence meant rejection, that waiting meant abandonment, but truth is that waiting meant alignment, and silence meant strategy. What I am releasing now will show you that every moment of longing had purpose, every season of stretching had meaning, every hour of patience was storing weight for the blessing that is about to land. You will testify not only that the promise came, but that it came in a way that proved my hand was on every detail. What seemed wasted will be redeemed in an instant, and you will rejoice that you trusted me even when the pause felt unbearable. The alignment that has been completed is not general or vague, it carries your very name inscribed upon it, for what I am about to release is tailored specifically for you, marked with my seal that no one else can claim. Do not think for a moment that this turning point is accidental or interchangeable with another's portion. It has been written for you since before you took your first breath. In seasons when you felt overlooked, when others were celebrated and you were hidden, when doors seemed to open for everyone else while you remained waiting, I was not ignoring you, I was reserving something distinct that only you could walk into. My child, your name is not forgotten in heaven. The promises you feared had slipped into someone else's hands are still yours. What is about to manifest will bear such unmistakable evidence of my personal touch that you will know without question it was designed for you. The enemy has tried relentlessly to convince you that you are disqualified, that you missed your chance, that you do not deserve blessing, but tonight I declare the opposite. You are chosen, and what carries your name cannot be claimed by another. Every attempt to steal it has failed. Every lie to convince you it is gone has been silenced. I have preserved it, kept it safe, shielded it until the moment when you would be ready to receive it. That moment has arrived. Tomorrow will not simply be another day, it will be the unveiling of what I kept hidden with your name engraved upon it. You will recognize it immediately because it will fit in a way nothing else ever did. It will not bring confusion. It will bring confirmation. It will not demand compromise. It will align with who I created you to be. The assurance that comes with it will erase every doubt you ever carried about whether I see you, whether I hear you, whether I know you. This promise is your evidence. It is my declaration that you were never overlooked, never abandoned, never lost in the crowd. Your name has always been before me, and this release will prove it in a way that cannot be denied. Because what I have preserved carries your name, I am also removing every distraction that has drained your energy and clouded your focus. For you cannot step into this next season weighed down by voices that pull you in 1,000 directions. I am stripping away the noise that competes for your attention, the influences that have blurred your clarity, the attachments that keep you tethered to places you no longer belong. You have tried to juggle too much, to keep pleasing everyone, to stretch yourself thin in hopes of finding approval. But those patterns were chains in disguise, and I am breaking them off tonight. You will feel a separation taking place, not because I am leaving you empty, but because I am creating space for what I am about to release. The clarity that comes with this separation will free you from the confusion that has made you hesitate in the past. Where once you second-guessed every step, you will begin to move with certainty. Where once you feared letting go of relationships or pursuits that no longer served your calling, you will now feel peace in releasing them. My spirit is cutting away the unnecessary so that what remains is purposeful. This pruning is not to punish you but to position you. The branches that produce no fruit are being removed so that the fruit-bearing ones may thrive. You will soon notice that the weight of opinions, the pull of distractions, the constant noise that cluttered your mind begins to fade, replaced by a stillness where my voice becomes unmistakable. Tomorrow you will wake with a new sharpness of vision, an ability to see what matters and to dismiss what does not. You will realize that losing distractions was not loss at all but gain, for it gives you the focus to step into the fullness of what hath been waiting. The adversary wanted to drown you in noise, to fill your days with endless diversions, but I am silencing that chaos and drawing you back to simplicity, back to me. In the clarity, you will not only find direction, but also renewed strength, for the things that drained you will no longer consume your time or your heart. I am setting you apart, trimming what no longer belongs, and in doing so I am preparing you to walk unhindered into the future I have written. As the noise is silenced and the unnecessary falls away, understand why the resistance around you suddenly grew so intense, for the adversary fears your tomorrow more than you realize. He has sensed the nearness of your release and has thrown everything he could to shake you, distract you, wear you down, and convince you that moving forward is pointless. The battles that escalated, the conflicts that surfaced, the sudden waves of discouragement, all of these were not random. They were strategic attempts to derail you before you stepped into what I have prepared. Yet even in his fury, he has only revealed how much he dreads your awakening. He knows that once you fully step into the place I have called you, his grip will be shattered, his lies silenced, his influence broken. The heaviness you felt pressing on you was not a sign of defeat but a sign that he is terrified of what is coming. Do not misinterpret the pressure as weakness. It is evidence that you are closer to breakthrough than you have ever been. The enemy always fights hardest when his time is short, and his time over you is running out. The very fact that his attacks have increased is confirmation that you are standing on the threshold of something he cannot stop. What you have endured has not weakened you, it has refined you. It has trained you to discern. It has forced you to cling to me in ways you never would have otherwise. And because of that, you are now stronger, sharper, and more resilient than before. The adversary fears your tomorrow because he sees what you cannot yet see: the impact of your obedience, the fruit of your surrender, the testimony that will rise from your life and influence others. That is why the resistance had been fierce. But I tell you now, child, do not be afraid of his fury, for he is a defeated foe. His weapons may form, but they will not prosper. His roar may sound loud, but it is hollow. His schemes may look intimidating, but they crumble the moment you stand in the authority I have given you. Tomorrow you will step into a new confidence, realizing that every attempt to destroy you only proves how valuable your calling is, and you will rise not as one beaten down, but as one victorious, clothed in the strength of my Spirit, unafraid of the adversary's threats because you now see clearly how powerless he truly is. Even as the adversary rages, remember my decree stands above all, for no weapon fashioned against you can prevail when I have declared victory over your life. The battle may feel relentless, but its outcome has already been sealed by my word, and I am reminding you tonight that the clash you sense is not proof of weakness but evidence of triumph being birthed. Every scheme designed to hinder you is collapsing under the weight of my authority. The traps set in secret are being exposed. The accusations whispered in darkness are being silenced. The snares laid in your path are being dismantled before you step into tomorrow. My Spirit surrounds you like a shield, encircling you with fire that the enemy cannot penetrate. While he attempts to intimidate, he cannot undo what I have spoken. While he tries to block, he cannot shut what I have opened. While he attempts to shake you, he cannot topple what I have established. The clash is real, but it is not equal. The adversary's strength is limited, but mine is without measure. You must hold tightly to this truth. Resistance does not mean defeat. It means you are advancing. The darkness would not rise against you so violently if you were not carrying something valuable. What is coming through you is so significant that the enemy will do anything to prevent it, yet every attempt only backfires, for I turn even his attacks into platforms for my glory. Tomorrow, as the new day unfolds, you will see clearly that what looked like chaos was actually a setup for breakthrough. You will stand in awe, realizing that the battle only cleared the stage for my power to be displayed more fully. My declaration is final. Victory belongs to you, and nothing formed against you has authority to cancel it. So tonight, even while the storm howls, Rest in the assurance that you are covered, protected, and carried by a decree that cannot be reversed. As you rest in the certainty that no scheme can overturn what I have spoken, prepare yourself for the weight of my presence that will cover you like fire as the hour draws nearer to its turning. For the closer the clock moves toward midnight, the stronger my nearness will become. You will sense it not only in your spirit, but in your very atmosphere, the heaviness lifting, the clarity sharpening, the assurance rising until fear loses all ground. My glory is not distant. It surrounds you now, filling the space where doubt once lingered, igniting a flame that no storm can quench. You will feel warmth where cold once lived, strength where weakness tried to dominate, and light where darkness pressed hardest. This fire is not meant to destroy you but to refine, to consume what held you back, to mark you as mine in a way that cannot be hidden. When my presence falls in fullness, every lingering shadow flees, every lingering chain breaks, every lingering wound begins to heal. What you are about to experience is not a fleeting emotion, but the reality of heaven touching earth in your very life. This is why I told you to open before midnight, because my fire is descending, and it will not find you empty. It will find you ready. As the flame settles, you will feel boldness where timidity once ruled, courage where hesitation silenced you, and peace that cannot be explained by logic. Do not resist this fire, for it is the very seal of what I have promised. It will purify, but it will also empower. It will burn away what weakened you, but it will also strengthen what I placed within you. When dawn comes, you will walk with a glow that others cannot deny. They will see something different in your eyes, hear something different in your voice, sense something different in your spirit, for you will carry the evidence of being touched by my presence. This is not for pride but for testimony, that others may know I am alive, that others may see through you what they long for themselves. Do not shrink back, embrace it, for this fire is not given lightly, it is entrusted to those who open fully. Tonight you are being set apart by flame, and tomorrow you will walk in that fire with a confidence that nothing can extinguish. Amen.